we all try to automate as much as we can in the business, but where do you find the balance between like finding things that are you automate versus things that need a personal touch, like with investors?
Sure. Well, I think with investors, as much as you can do personal, it's better. It's kind of like, we talk about relationships, right? Well, if you're married and you have a wife, or maybe you're not married yet and you have a girlfriend, have you tried to automate things there? Right. I mean, think about it. Like how would your wife feel if you just, set up an automatic once a week, they're going to, get someone come over to the house and drop off some flowers, it's all automated. It's not personal anymore. It's like, oh, I just do that automatically now. I've thought about it, right? Like that'd be kind of cool. Every week my wife gets a thing of flowers, but then it loses its relationship aspect, right? It's more just like, oh, it's on auto pay, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not anything that I'm thinking about. And one of the things that we do that I would say is different for the investors, because a lot of things we do are very personal, and there are some things that we do automated. So we send out a monthly newsletter to our investors. There's actually one right over here. This is a monthly newsletter that we send out to our investors every month. We call it the Passive Investor. This is the one we just sent out in October. This is a really nice kind of high quality, glossy piece of like a magazine style, if you will, that we send out. This is every month we're sending this out. Each one of these that we send out, that would be considered automated, even though we're writing it, but it's automatically being sent out to them every month. It's not like we're hand addressing the envelope or anything.
Right.
We have a mailing house that actually prints those out. This is something that allows them to be able to hear from us every single month. So each one of our managing partners, there's 3 of us, each one of us will write an article in there and talk about something that we are working on or thinking about, or so they can kind of know how we think, right? It's another way for them to be able to build a relationship with us, even though we can't get on a phone call with every single one of our investors every single month. But it also allows us to be able to have some additional communication with our investors, because we mail this out to them, not email. This is mailed out to them. So there's definitely an expense there. But then we also are able to put additional things in there like this. So this is actually a little short-term private lending fund, and we just started promoting that to our investors so they are aware of it, called the PIC fund. And it allows us to have another opportunity to be able to reach out to them. We also, inside of this newsletter, include some fun things like a little word search on the back and things like that. And then now that we have their mailing address, the actual printed out high quality, brochure or investment offering memorandum or investor offering memorandum for our investors. So this is one that we're going to be closing on, called Braxton Carey Weston. And you can see here, it's a really nice, see how many pages this one is. This one's about 72 pages. We print these up and we actually mail these to each one of our investors whenever we have a deal, because we want them to know that we've actually released a deal. The reason why we started doing that is because we have about a 53 to 54% open rate with our emails, which I know you, Todd, do a lot with email marketing. And so obviously that's a really good open rate. Like most people are lucky if they get 20%, right? But obviously we're highly curating our email list. We don't have, a bunch of people on there that don't want to be on there. But I also, when we release a deal, I looked at that and I was like, but that's like 45 to 50% of people that are not even opening up the email when we release it. But whenever you mail something out like this, you're going to get 100% open rate, right? Because we actually send these out in priority mail envelopes. So it looks important. They want to open it up right away and they can actually see exactly what it is. And it allows us to be able to continue to have that level of communication with them. So that's kind of some of the automated stuff that we do, even though it still is a manual process for us to put it together and things like that. But then one of the other things that we do is every phone call that I get on with the investors, I take my cell phone out and actually program their name and their phone number into my phone. And when I have a phone call with them, I'll send them a text message with my contact card, which has all my information in it. And I tell them, hey, thanks for having a phone call with me. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Here's my contact card, so you can easily add all my information to your phone. But one thing that I do that's different is in the company field, I'll actually put the word investor, so I know they're an investor, and then I'll put the actual city and state of where they're located. And if it's a city, like for example, if it's like, I'll just give you an example, in like Tampa, Florida, there's a submarket there called Riverview, Florida, right? Well, I'm not just going to put Riverview because I don't really know where that is, right? But I'll look up Riverview and I'll go, oh, the closest largest city is Tampa, and I'll put in Tampa. And the reason why this is important is because now when I travel to Tampa or Dallas or Orlando or LA or wherever, I can now search in my phone for that city, and all the investors that are located in that city are going to be popping up on my phone, and I can send them a personal text message and say, hey, I'm going to be flying into your area. Wanted to see if you want to grab a cup of coffee or dinner. Or a lot of times we'll actually put together an investor dinner. I'll just invite multiple investors to an investor dinner that'll have 6 to 7 to 8 people in it, and allow us to be able to connect other investors in that market, but also for us to be able to have a touch point with multiple investors all in one meeting.
Sounds really good. So Yeah, because I think those, which maybe we'll talk about a little bit more later, but also the face-to-face things is hard to replace that. Like the phone calls are great, the emails, everything else, but like face-to-face is great whenever you can make that happen. So
Yeah, the face-to-face stuff is crucially important. It's where, and I'm not perfect with it. I mean, I'd probably say 90% of our investors I never meet face-to-face. I feel like our group sees more of our investors face-to-face because we make an effort to actually go to these different markets when we're traveling, actually set up these different dinners, and it allows us to have a lot more face-to-face contact with them. And the
Mhm.
more you can have face-to-face, the more solidification you can have with those relationships, and it just deepens it even further.